You are watching Slime Recap.
The scene shifts to the next day, where Snakey stands proudly on a cliff, laughing like a villain straight out of a budget anime. He glances at his stone puppet army with that "I'm the boss now" vibe. The puppets stand in front of him, and Snakey finally realizes he has completed making a full set of 100. It almost looks like a rock concert, but with zero music and too many dead eyes. Knowing the army won't get strong just by posing, he quickly decides to train them. He points his tail at a nearby hill and orders the stone puppets to use the stone flying technique and aim right at the target. As soon as he shouts, "Shoot!" the puppets fly through the air at top speed and slam straight into the hill. The explosion of dust and the loud crash leaves Snakey speechless. He realizes that when the numbers are big enough, even average attacks can cause serious damage. Snakey starts comparing his puppet army to the human catapults he once saw, thinking that if you stack up enough of them, they can destroy a city with ease. Still surprised by the force, he thinks about how this kind of attack might even catch a cultivator off guard and crush them. Just then, a wild idea pops into his head. To stick explosive talismans onto the puppets, he figures the impact would be close to a full-on cannon blast. Thinking that, he chuckles to himself, quietly calling himself a genius. Right at that moment, the simp, Xiao Chao, speaks up and respectfully calls Snakey, Senior, asking him to release him. Snakey simply glances at him. The guy is trying to approach while awkwardly hopping like a tied-up frog thanks to the spell that keeps both his legs stuck together and his arms pinned behind his back. Snakey gives him a sharp look and asks what if he tries to run away. But the simp shakes his head, saying he's already wanted by the snake-catcher sect. If he goes back, he's as good as dead. He insists there's no way he'll escape. On top of that, he adds that Snakey once saved his life and ever since then he's been spiritually awakened, as if Snakey dropped some divine relationship wisdom on his head. He says a real man shouldn't lose sleep over love drama. As he looks at Snakey with full-on dramatic hero eyes, he shares that he wants to repay this kindness, and the only way he can do that is if Snakey sets him free. Snakey looks back at him, realizing the simp actually sounds serious and doesn't seem to be bluffing. He decides to release him but keeps a mental sticky note to stay alert, knowing that trust can be broken faster than instant noodles. As Snakey uses his magic to remove the beast-taming ring from Xiao Chou's body, the simp lights up with joy and humbly asks if there's anything this junior can do for senior Snakey. Snakey then asks if he's really serious about working for him. The simp nods right away. However, Snakey decides to test him. Without warning, he silently slips behind him and coldly says that he doesn't trust humans. As he wraps his tail and mid-body around Xiao Chao, he states that humans are tricky and full of lies, asking if the simp really thinks Snakey will believe him so easily. But Xiao Chao stays calm. He explains that being part of the snake-catcher sect means it's normal for Snakey to doubt him, but even so, he's still ready to serve him. Hearing that, Snakey admits the simp can talk smoothly. He then asks him to listen carefully and steps back onto the cliff. With a loud voice, he announces that he will order 10 stone puppets to attack, but the simp is only allowed to defend himself. Front, he puppets, not fight back. As Snakey mentions that he will watch and check if the simp can survive or not, the simp coldly replies by asking what Snakey will do if he does survive. Before he can even blink, Snakey sneaks behind him again like a sneaky lizard ninja and whispers that he'll increase the number of stone puppets by 10 more. The simp looks shocked, as if he just got invited to a surprise exam, but deep down, he knows he has no other option. So he nods and accepts the challenge like a man who's already regretting it. As the battle begins, the simp holds on for a few seconds, like a champ. But as soon as Snakey adds more puppets, things go downhill fast. He gets crushed and falls to the ground with a thud. Snakey walks over and calmly tells him that he only survived the attack from 33 stone puppets. While walking away, Snakey adds that he didn't even go all out, because someone who can fight evenly with Hua Yunyan should have done way better than just defending against 33 puppets. The simp tries to say something to defend himself, but he's too beat up to speak clearly. After a few seconds of failed mumbling, Snakey gets annoyed and tells him to stop babbling and shut up. He heads into the cave and calls out to Milky, asking her to treat the simp's injury. Milky, without asking any questions, agrees right away. Meanwhile, the Monkey King Shriek, who had earlier taken over Snakey's base, watches them from a few meters away. He realizes that Snakey and his team aren't normal pushovers. If he wants his base back, a direct fight won't cut it, so he decides to find some backup, thinking that with their help, he might stand a chance. In fact, he even considers the idea of making someone else finish them off for him. The scene then shifts to 15 days later, where Snakey is seen practicing his moves like a martial arts YouTuber. After half a month of hard work, and thanks to the pills, he realizes that he's now at the peak of the 8th level in the spirit awareness realm. He also remembers that winter is on the way and he needs to enter seclusion soon to push for the 9th level. With big dreams in his cold-blooded heart, he plans to reach the Foundation establishment realm by next spring. Dude's acting like he's grinding for a rank up before the season resets. At the same time, he thinks about Xiao Chao, the simp, who surprisingly hasn't shown any signs of escaping during these past 15 days. In fact, the guy even helped him hunt. But then Snaky realizes that if he goes into seclusion for 3 to 5 days, and if the simp does decide to run, he won't be able to stop him. He casually wonders if he should just half-beat the guy and keep him knocked out for a few days, just to be safe. Before he can come up with a proper plan, the simp barges into the cave all hyped up, saying that he caught something good today. As Snaky turns to look, Xiao Chou proudly walks over holding Doggy in his hands. He excitedly tells Snaky that he caught this old dog, points out how he's balding, and claims that he'll make a great soup ingredient. He then announces that he's about to light up the stove and treat himself to some top-tiered dog meat. Snaky and Doggy exchange an awkward look, while Snaky freezes like someone just unplugged his brain. The simp looks at Snaky and starts getting confused. Usually Snaky would be grinning and ready to feast, but today he's just standing there, like a statue. Xiao Chu blinks, frowns, and finally asks why Snaky isn't saying anything this time. Just then, Doggy speaks up, saying that Snaky has really grown up now, and even asks if he's seriously raised a human pet. The moment hits like a cartoon twist, and the simp's eyes widen like he's seen a ghost. He stares at Doggy in shock, and asks if he can really talk. Doggy doesn't waste time. He charges forward like a furry missile and bites him on the leg, angrily saying that not only can he talk, he can bite too. The simp groans in pain and starts screaming like a kid who stepped on a Lego. Meanwhile, Milky hears the noise and peeks out, wondering what kind of circus is going on outside. A few moments later, Doggy decides to punish the simp in his own way. He places a pot of boiling water filled with spices and vegetables under a tree, setting it up like a proper outdoor kitchen. Then, he ties the simp upside down from a branch right above the pot. Now the simp can't do anything except take in the spicy steam directly on his face while screaming for help. Doggy ignores his cries and calmly asks Snaky what they should do with someone who wanted to eat dog meat. He even suggests that maybe they should just slice him up and drop him into the hot pot. Snaky keeps staring at the bubbling pot while the simp panics, asking if Senior Snaky is seriously going to stay silent while Doggy plans his slow-cooked revenge. The simp tries to defend himself, saying that he might not have done much in life, but he still worked hard. Hearing that, Snaky wonders aloud if eating him just like that wouldn't be a waste. Doggy looks at the struggling simp and laughs, agreeing with Snaky. He says the guy doesn't even have much meat on his bones anyway, and declares that they'll fatten him up first. Hearing that, the simp quietly thanks the heavens, realizing that Snaky was the one who came up with the no eating for now plan, and that his death might be postponed for a few weeks. To his surprise, Snaky suddenly grins and glances at Doggy, asking if they should chop off the simp's limbs and taste it first, just to see if he's even worth fattening. Doggy bursts into laughter and nods, saying that it's a spicy idea and they should totally give it a try. The simp, hearing this madness, almost blacks out on the spot, as if life just hit him with a frying pan. Meanwhile, Snaky casually tells Doggy to release him, saying that he already bit him and scared him half to death. He complains that he raised this pet with so much effort, so Doggy can't just eat him like some street snack. Doggy sighs and explains that he was only trying to help Snaky by showing the human his place. He says humans can't be trusted, and it's better to scare them early so they don't cause problems later. Snaky nods in agreement, then suddenly changes the topic and asks where Doggy had been all these days. Doggy sits under the tree and calmly says he went out digging graves. That leaves Snaky stunned for a moment. Doggy explains that he didn't get to do much since most sects were heavily guarded, but he did manage to rob the Purple Cloud sect. As he says that, he tosses some golden scales towards Snaky, asking him to take a close look. Snaky stares for a few seconds before his eyes widen in shock. He recognizes them right away. They are his old golden scales. He mentions that the old hag had taken them and asks how Doggy got them back. Doggy laughs and casually reveals that he killed the old hag. Snaky stares at him in disbelief and asks if he really did that. However, Doggy stays calm and asks why Snaky looks so shocked. He explains that the old hag was already knocking on heaven's door, and reminds him about their earlier fight with her. He says that battle had drained her lifespan, and even if he hadn't stepped in, she would have croaked in half a year anyway. Doggy smirks and says that the Purple Cloud sect is hanging by a thread now. So whether they truly don't know or are just playing dumb out of fear, nobody has even realized that their ancestor is dead. As Doggy chuckles like an evil mastermind, the simp finally returns to his senses, like a Wi-Fi signal reconnecting after hours, and asks if that really happened. Spotting him, Doggy jokes if he's that legendary simp whose tragic love saga is now trending inside the Purple Cloud sect like the hottest gossip. The simp gets triggered and shouts that he was simply courting her and that shouldn't count as simping. He adds that it's all in the past anyway, since she's already gone. He declares that he's now on the right path and done being a simp. Doggy glances at him and chuckles, asking if he really means that. The simp nods with confidence and says it's true. He proudly declares that as a human, he needs to have a spine, and from now on he won't bow to just anyone. Doggy laughs and suddenly spawns a coffin. Seeing it, the simp asks if it's the Ancestor's ice coffin, mentioning that Senior already told him about it. But Doggy shakes his head with a grin and says it's not the Ancestor. He casually opens the coffin lid and tells him to take a look inside. As Xiao Chao peeks inside, his eyes widen in disbelief. It's Linger. Seeing the body, the simp freezes, confused and shaken. He wonders what Doggy is even doing with her body. What do you guys think the simp will do next? Will he take his revenge, or become a Sigma with infinite aura for the rest of his life? Want the next part? Drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe if you watched till the end.